Hey everyone, it's Jem with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for December Daily. This video is going to have stories 6, 7, and 8, so stick around. Friends, I have to say I am so excited about how this one turned out. This is story number 6, and I completely scrap-lifted by Rachel Hart. That is her handle. She is an absolute wizard of all things like layered and just the tiniest, most minute details in her spread. So if you are not following her on Instagram, you need to be. She is extremely inspiring and has just really amazing ideas for December Daily. I pretty much have liked every single one of her creations ever because I'm just like such a fangirl. So that being said, this is a scrap lifted idea that she shared in, I think it was prep day, if I'm not mistaken. So I printed out, yeah, it was, because I printed out this digital frame here on my printer with Epson premium photo mat paper, I think it is, something like that. And I can't even explain to you how I did this logistically, because even I'm looking at it and going, how did I figure this out? There is probably a way easier way to do it, but I've said it many times. I am not technologically savvy at all. So I wanted to have the effect that she did in the class. It's only a $5 class, so you can still buy it, and it's way worth it, way more, even than like regularly it is, but this year they offered digital downloads with that $5, so it is worth so much more than that. It's an incredible class. So
I'm not sure I understand.
It's an incredible class. Highly recommend. So in that class, she does this frames tutorial, and she shares several other ideas. And one of the ideas was she had a picture of like a scene of trees, and you flip up the frame and underneath is the colored photo. Well, I didn't measure it perfectly, and it took me forever to try to figure this out logistically. So I printed out the full size photo in black and white for outside the page protector, which is 7 by 8 1/4. And then I printed out, like I tried to figure out, I printed out the same thing in color. And then so I had 2 photos of the same thing, one in black and white and one in color. And then I just took the frame and figured out how much of it I wanted to be colorized, and basically trimmed off that much of the colored photo, and then printed out the frame for the size I wanted. So it could be any size you wanted because it's digital. And then I took a piece of vellum from my stash that's got this gray marbled effect, and I layered that underneath the frame. You saw me do that with some score tape, I think. And then I put the colored this is so hard to explain. I put the colored part of the picture, so the colored portion only. I nestled it inside on top of the black and white photo. And then I trimmed around it on 3 sides. This is the black and white photo. I trimmed around it on 3 sides to leave the top secure so I could have the flip up feature. Hopefully that all makes sense. I know I'm probably completely butchering it, but you'll see more of what I mean once I'm done playing around with all these itty bitty details, which took me like forever to pick out, but it was so fun to do. I went deep into my stash for these items, so they're not all Ellie Edwards. Some are from Tim Holtz, some are from Simple Stories, some are from a company that's not even in existence anymore. Some are from, I think, Vicky Booten even, and some are from older December Daily kits. So essentially, I'm completely scraplifting the idea. She always does these gorgeous, like almost like a clothesline or a banner. I guess it's a banner of just little teeny tiny tags and bits and bobs. So I like fussy cut out a couple little stocking shapes from the same pattern paper that I'm going to be using throughout this story, that red and green grid on the cream colored background. I have some trees and some stars and then word phrases. And then I cut some banners, like they were, or boxes rather, into banner shapes, so they looked like banners. And then I went into my sequin stash. Most of them you saw me pull out were from the Diary of Belle Rose, and I used those to add teeny tiny little dots of bling here and there. The washi tape that I put down was just so that I could kind of see where everything should line up. So you can see I'm going to be oscillating between two different types of adhesive just based on the embellishment that I'm trying to put down. So I realized that this blue, what is this called? The Kuretake glue pen, that it's not going to work as well as the gel glue that I have by Aleene's. It's the clear gel tacky glue, and it also has a fine tip, so it works really well on little details, but it just adheres better to things that are not paper. So while I was doing this, what I basically am trying to do is balance out in each row, each banner, if you will, the colors so that there's not all red and green, like all red next to each other, all green next to each other. I'm also trying to balance out width of the embellishments and also the height so that it's varied and it looks a little bit more interesting. If it was like all perfectly straight across the bottom, I don't think that would look very natural, I guess. Not that any of this is natural or organic, but you know what I mean, I think. Just varying up the sizes and the lengths of things for interest. I cut up some chipboard pieces, you can see, and making sure those are in a tag shape. And the way I learned how to do that was just cut, eyeball down the middle, and make a little slit where you want the top of your chevron to be for the banner shape, and then cut out from the corner of each side, and then you'll get like a little banner. So you're just going to see me basically play around quite a bit with all of these embellishments. I don't think I recorded the whole thing. I think I just completed the top row and I did the bottom row off camera for time's sake. But I wanted you to get a good idea of, how I was playing and what I was doing. I'm honestly so, so, so happy. This might end up being like one of my absolute favorite pages I've ever done. So thank you so much, Rachel, for this inspiration and just your continued contribution to December daily projects and your scrapbook projects throughout the year. It is just chef's kiss amazing. So I think like the key to really embracing all of this is the detail. So not just getting those like foundational banner pieces, but then all the little tiny, like the little decorative brads, the sequins, the bling stickers, the little teeny tiny gems, the twine, that type of thing. And the twine that I'm going to use is actually something I found at Staples like way back in the day. It was very, very clearanced out. It was this huge pack of colored twine. And I was like, when am I ever going to use this? And it's like a rainbow pack full of them. There's like, a couple shades of pinks, there's brown, black, gray, all the colors. So I pulled out this cream one and the brown one, and I went with the cream, and I'm basically going to gently try to lift up where I need to some of the pieces so that I can string this string across the top so that it looks like it's a banner of some sort. And I just, it's so good. The twine and then the chipboard, the canvas word strips, like all of it is just so yummy. I don't know. I know that sounds really weird, but I just absolutely love all the textures that are happening here. And I just got this DMC thread that is really wonderful for tying little teeny tiny bows and making details with it. And it is, let me see if I can, it's I don't know if it has the color. It's just gold DMC thread. I don't really know. Does it say F75579? I don't know if that means anything. It just says metallic thread. And then on the bottom it says that it's 40 meters, 40-43, and then 7 yards. I have no idea. But that's what I'm using anyway to make these itty bitty little bows that are going to go on the top. And sequins, and it's just, it's so good. So anyways, once I finish the top banner, like I said, I'm going to do it off camera. And I totally lied. I did not put this together yet. I'm doing this separately. I thought I had already adhered this to the full photo, but I'm a dingus because if I had done that, it would be on camera right now. I'm tired. So so yes, I did not. There you can see is the photo, but here you can see in real time the finished flip. Oh, it's so good, right? It's so good. Okay, so I'm using score tape to make sure that I'm going to secure this down to the front of the photo. I'm hiding it behind the banners so that you don't see it through the vellum. And then I need a tab for the bottom so that you know to lift it up. I found this one that says Mary, I finally decide on, and I use my tiny attacher to make sure that it's really stapled in there and secure. I have a bunch of these. Some of these are really old, that were given to me, and some I purchased on clearance, and some are from just a couple of years ago. So you can see what I mean there, where I had just used my X-Acto knife to put slits in 3 sides of this black and white photo so that the top is still attached for the flip up. And then this frame is going to go right on top. And I was super nervous that I was going to not put it on straight. You can see I had used the back side of another paper that I ended up not using to my liking. And I'm taking this pattern paper. I love it. It's nice and simple. Cream background, but just a really thin, beautiful red and green plaid on there. And so there you can see I have the other colored photo taped on the back, or taped to it with washi for temporary. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Then I attached the back permanently with some Scotch tape, and I'm going to then adhere it to the back side of story number, what was it, 5, my new ornaments for the year. And then I can punch holes in it. Now it's not quite the right size, so I do need to fill that in with some trim that's going to go on the left edge there. And I end up choosing some simple red pom-pom trim that I had in my stash. I think I got it at Joann before it closed. But you can see I'm going to audition out a few different things. I do love that gold star, but I didn't love that you could see the adhesive underneath and like where it looks kind of wonky. So I want something that has a little bit of a thicker base to it. So that's why I settle on this red pom-pom trim. And I'm just going to use some red line tape to adhere the trim. Oh, I lied. I thought I used red line tape. Just kidding. Sorry. I think I will use red line tape for adding trim in a different story in this same video. That's why I thought I used red line tape. I'm doing the voiceover a couple days after finishing putting these pages together, so my memory is just a bit rusty because I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast. So, but yeah, so I'm using that same gel glue that I just talked about to adhere the pom-pom trim. So I'm just going to play around and see if logistically it all makes sense. You know, you can lift up the flap. Oh, and I should say off camera, like even after I took, oh wait, no, I think maybe that is in the picture, but I ended up feeling like that plaid paper needed something on it. I didn't want to add anything crazy because I think the banners on top are very, you know, intricate and crafty. So all I did was add a really big craft foiled word die cut that I had from either last year or 2 years ago that says Jingle All the Way. And it just looks pretty and it fits that space perfectly. So now I'm moving on to the second part of this story, which are different photos of us decorating our tree, since this is a story about our trees. We have one tree in the living room and one tree in Nora's room. They're both pretty tiny. I mean, the tree is bigger than me, but our house is small, and I'm like 5'4" maybe on a good day. Really, I'm like 5'3". Shh, don't tell anybody. 5'3.5". So these are page protectors from scrapbook.com that they're new. They have a little like panoramic element there where they flip out, which I love. So I had a whole bunch of photos. This year I actually got Nora to take a picture of me decorating the tree, which is nice. And then there's a picture of my husband and Nora. And then it's kind of like twofold, right? Because I wanted all the pictures to coordinate with the big photo on the left that I just finished decorating with the flip up. But then when you open the flap, you can see there's a picture of Nora in front of her tree. And then there's another picture that's not on screen right now that is of her tree in her room. and that has a lot of pink in it. So I didn't want that on the front of the page protectors, if that makes sense. I'm really trying to like keep it in the red and green, you know, and gold tone, if that makes sense. So then I found this card that says decorating from my stash. I think it's maybe from last year or the year before. And I apologize, I didn't type up the journaling until later on, and I am a mess. I don't really know how to do it in Canva. I should know. I can't figure it out. It's just the way it is. My brain and technology, we just are not friends. So I ended up doing it in InShot, which is not the best way to do it. And so it's really tiny, but in person you can read it, and I'll read it to you. So that'll make it easier. You won't have to like, even if you pause the screen, well, not that there's journaling there, but if there was and you pause the screen, you wouldn't be able to read it because it's so little. So I'll read it to you while you watch me embellish the photos. So I wrote, it truly doesn't feel like Christmas until we set up the tree, and it's tradition to do it on Black Friday. Putting the ornaments on is like the icing on the cake, so it can't be done until I've taken all the fall decor down, brought up the too many boxes of Christmas decor, and decorated. This year was extra special because as soon as I started to decorate, it began to snow. At first it was just flurries, but as the afternoon went on, it became heavier, and then it quietly blanketed everything. We listened to all the fun Christmas music on Alexa, which makes it easy to skip the ones that drive us nuts, like Dominic the Donkey. We couldn't have asked for a more perfect setting for tree decorating. And so again, it's tiny, it's not perfect, and I think I just found a typo, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it because I hate trying to figure out typing on clear sticker paper and figuring out the sizing. If you guys have like a, you know, figure it out for dummies, send it the information my way. What I'm doing right now is taking one of these bigger gold stars that don't have sticky adhesive on the back and using my tiny star punch to make smaller gold stars so that it's the same material as the ones that are from Allie Edwards. Because I could have punched gold stars out of gold paper that I have, but it's not. I actually even have some gold glitter paper, but it's not the same tone. So that's why I sacrificed one of the larger stars to make 3 tiny ones. So you can see the formula I'm doing on some of these photos is like, it's not the same, but it's similar. It's like a chipboard tree, which those are from a few years ago. A label circle sticker. So one's a candy cane, one's a candle, and one's a tree. And a little gold star. On a couple of them, I added these red bows. And I think that's about it. And then on the number portion, I don't know if you noticed, but I use that same grid paper that's on the underside of my banner flip up. And then I put 3 gold stars and a chipboard tree and a tab that says traditions in the same green tone as that felt number 6. On the picture of me decorating the tree, I cut up one of the word phrases that says around the tree and then put a gold star and layered a red bow on top of that. I like to do things in 3s, so I wanted there to be 3 red bows used throughout these page protectors, and I wanted 3 of those chipboard trees. So actually use 4, but that's okay. I wanted one on the number 6. I like to have like the same motif repeated in a spread, especially if it's over 2 pages like this, or it has like flip outs like this one does. I gotta say, guys, I love this story. Like I said, it might be one of my absolute favorites I've ever done. Again, would not have been possible without The Magician by Rachel Hart. Would not have been possible without her. She is amazing. So I'm going to just let you guys watch me continue to finish this up. And then you can see how everything came together. I always like to do a close-up of the finished story in real time. Let me know if you have questions. I know it's sped up to 4 times the speed and it can be a little confusing. So now we're going to move on to story 7, which is about my decor this year. I pretty much always use the same decor for the most part, honestly, since we've been in my home, which has been like 7 years or something like that. But I get rid of a few things here and there and I'll add a few things here and there. So it does change a little bit, but not a ton. Like I said, we have a tiny house. And we're the type of family that we like to spend our money on vacations and experiences and not necessarily on having like the nicest things. Like a lot of our furniture is hand-me-down or thrifted. And there's a lot of things that we could definitely do to upgrade our home, but we just choose not to at this time in our life. And that's just our decision. But I try to make it as cozy and festive as I can and within our budget for sure, because that's something that's important to us as well. So yeah, I just want to add that little caveat. But I am going to use the back of this page protector for my jumping off point for story number 7. That's kind of the nice thing I think about having the page protectors is it's like, well, if you didn't use all of it, then you've got to figure out how to use it to tell your next story, right? So I knew I wanted to feature this plastic green 7 and the green bow. I love the bow. I wish there was like a ton of those stitched bow stickers. Then I had these red and green teeny enamel stickers I got earlier this year from scrapbook.com by 49 and Market. I was like, ooh, these are going to be perfect little accent stickers. So I pulled those out and sprinkled those all over the place. I just love to embellish. I'm a maximalist for sure. And then I've got a picture of my tiered tray that's going to go next to it. And this 4x6 picture of my tablescape, which is really simple. It just has a table runner. That table runner's there pretty much every season, I think. I'm just a sucker for buffalo check. I know it's probably way out of style. I don't pay attention to trends, I'm not gonna lie. As far as home decor goes, I just do what I like, and that's how I decorate. So I don't know if somebody's like an interior designer, they're probably like cringing and I don't know, but I just buy things that I like and that are, affordable and make it work in my tiny space. So I have a couple of these or they're not stickers, just labels left over. This one says Our Decorating Traditions. It's perfect. I did put it down here first. I'm going to switch it out later though for a different one. I'm just going to play around with the embellishments. I end up switching it out for one that says taking time to reset to prepare for the holidays, which is exactly, the same, like the perfect sentiment for this as well, because I do decorate that, like I said, the same day I put up the tree, which is before the craziness of the holidays. So it's a good sentiment still, even though this one is maybe a more appropriate title, and simpler as well because it just says Our Decorating Traditions. But I'm going to end up putting that on the picture of the cat on top of the couch. So yeah, the cat was on top, which I thought that was funny because he normally doesn't like to be in photos this way. Usually pictures of Smokey, he's asleep, but I just thought it was a nice photo because it had, the Christmas pillows and then like our little faux vases next to the mirror on the wall had like the Christmas florals in it. And in the mirror, you can see the reflection of the tree with the star because yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty photo. So I wanted to include it. And someday we'll have a different couch, fingers crossed. And so that won't be something that I'm documenting. So I want to make sure, I'm documenting life in real time and keeping it real. So I wanted to include that picture. And then again, didn't type up the journaling till after I filmed. So I'll read it to you. It just says, I got to actually pull it out to read it. Every year we debate setting up Christmas. If it were up to me, I'd do it right after Halloween because everything feels geared toward the holiday season. Plus, I'm the one who puts up and takes down everything. It's a decent amount of work, so I'd like to look at it all a little longer. We always leave for at least a week during December, so that's even less time we get to enjoy the Christmas vibes. Matt insists it goes up after Thanksgiving because, quote, he feels like the fall decorations go with Thanksgiving, end quote. Then in asterisks, I put sigh. Maybe next year it'll be my turn to call the shots, question mark. Either way, once everything is up, Christmas feels even more festive. I love being surrounded by it all. And the journaling for Nora's photos says, Nora's room is so festive. This year we put up the mini tree on Black Friday. We decorated it with tons of various pink gem ornaments and some silver and white mini bulbs. Then we filled it in with all the fun, sentimental ornaments she's collected or received since the year she was born. It's so fun to look at all of them since each year she chooses ornaments that are meaningful to her for that time period. Some of the ornament examples are Elsa and Anna, Gappy's Dollhouse, The Game of Life, The Grinch, Star Wars, and Hello Kitty. One day she might fight me on whether or not she'll want to include them all, but I'm so glad 2025 is not that year. And you can see on Nora's pictures, there's 3 of them on the inside flip out here. Which, by the way, this is it's one of the page protectors that came with the album from Allie Edwards. It's just a standard 3x4 pocket in 4 slots, but I folded it in half and I scored it so that it would sit just like a little, so it looks like it's just so that it looks like it's 2 3x4 photos, but it really is a flip out because the full-size photo that's behind it, I wanted to like make sure that it was obvious that it's part of the same story. So these 3 elements are all part of story number 7. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions. But anyway, back to what I'm doing for Nora's pictures. There's 3 of them. There's a selfie of us in her mirror. I liked it because you could see like a lot of her bedroom because there's a mirror right in the photo. So on the top, you can see above her mirror, there's some faux holly or faux like garland, and then a wood garland with pom-pom trim, and then you can see like the top of her dresser just a little bit. You can see in the background part of her tree is peeking out. So, and even behind her head, you can see her macrame hanging has the gingerbread felt garland we made last year, which was a story I did in 2024. That was our celiac friendly gingerbread craft. Don't worry, that story is coming soon. So I love this photo because it just has like all the elements. And then there's like a zoomed in picture, which is the one of her bed with her like little Christmas stuffies. And then the one of my tiered tray in the craft room, which was a first for me. I don't usually do anything in here. So that was kind of fun. And then there's this full-size photo that I put one of these long labels on that says Making My Own Mary. I wrote, following other crafty folks, I took a picture of our decor totes. So this is just the inside of one of our decorative bins with some of the items inside. Then I've got the back photos, which are my Waterford Crystal nativity that was gifted to me when I was like, I think in high school. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do with this? But I absolutely love it. So now that I'm older, I appreciate it. And I put it out every year. And on that, I just kept it simple. It's sitting as part of like the decor on top of my IKEA shelf in the living room. And it says, Joy to the World in chipboard. And then The Reason, which is a sticker from this year's Advent sticker kit, and then one of those little red enamel hearts. And then there's a picture of all of my December daily stories, which got moved up. Those albums, if you see on the left side of the screen, are on the top shelf of my IKEA storage. So I love looking back through those, and I decorate, that whole thing is decorated for Christmas. I always like to change up how I decorate the top of the shelf each season. So that's where the nativity is sat. And I kept that one simple. I just put Deck the Halls, stories, and then a heart. So yeah, I know it was, and the last thing I do on this large photo, I add a little tiny piece of this faux ribbon because it's just a sticker. It's part of a long sticker. I got these at Hobby Lobby like years ago. So I just wanted a little something to create sort of like a finished edge to this photo. When a lot of times my full-size photos I really want featured, right? Like I really want them to be the focus. So I don't want to, I guess, distract from what's in the photo with all the embellishments. So I try as hard as I can not to be a maximalist when it comes to those types of photos. Also, I realize I'm very self-conscious when I do voiceovers. I know I say a lot. I apologize. That is like unavoidable, and I don't know how to remedy that other than I would have to go back and edit out every single one, which would take me forever. So if that really irks you, I totally apologize and ask for your forgiveness. But anyway, here is everything for story 7. I absolutely love it. Again, I think the colors look gorgeous together, and it came together really easily. I had a really good idea of what I wanted to do and kept it fairly simple, I think. Sticking to the page protectors really helps me to not have as much decision fatigue. So the last story comes together super quick. It's simple. It's a story of matching jammies. I do this every year, and it's story number 8. For this, I wanted to use the green 3x8 add-on paper with the labels to include a picture of Nora and I wearing our matching pajamas, and then a picture of the pajamas together. And then I printed out this larger photo, which is the pajamas in front of Nora's tree in her room. So it's lots of pink and green. It's got some cherries and wreaths. We just got them at Five Below the other day. We actually already had matching pajama bottoms that we got for our Disney trip, but hers are shorts. And I tried to tell her when we bought them that she wasn't going to want to wear them in New York, even though she was going to wear them in Florida, which she did. But of course, we get home and she's like, it's too cold to wear them. So we had to look for some other jammies, and these were very, very affordable. And actually, they're so comfortable. I'm not going to lie. Like, I've never purchased anything but t-shirts as far as clothing from Five Below. These pajamas are amazing. And they have a ton of different patterns. And I think they were like, I think they were $20 for both pairs, which I think is really, really good. But again, she can wear women's sizes, so that's why we were able to do that this year. Anyways, I use my die cuts to cut out the pictures of us, and then I printed out this larger photo so that it was 3.5 by 7.25, and then cut down the green, because the green paper is a little bit bigger than 3x8, so I trimmed it down so that it fit perfectly both sides on the 7 by 8.25. And then look at me doing French knots. Whoop whoop! Look at me! Look at me! Salute! Clang the bells! Beep the horn! Ring the bell! All the things. I'm doing French knot. Oh, I'm not in camera. I wanted to zoom in because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm filming myself doing these. They're not perfect. They don't really look like French knots. They look like blobs, but that's okay. I made these blobs myself, and I didn't stab myself too hard in the process. So, or rip the vellum or the paper. So I win. This is a leftover vellum piece from a few years ago, and I decided, I don't know, vellum on vellum to me looks so pretty. And I had this vellum number 8. These are left from Ellie's Studio. I got these like 4 years ago. And they have this gorgeous red foil. So I'm sticking with red, green, and pink for this layout. Again, super easy. All I did was make some French knots. I say all I did. Listen, girls, my journey to trying to figure out how to do these French knots has been not for the faint of heart, okay? Hours and hours and hours of failed French knot making has gone into this. So I am very proud of these wonky blob knots, whatever you want to call them. So I get those on. Look at me. Slay. And then I am going to stitch the number 8 on, and I decide that I want to put pink embroidery thread inside. I wasn't going to do that. Initially, I thought I was just going to like use some glue dots or something, but I was like, ooh, let me get extra. Let me be extra, because that's the way I roll. So my extra self stitched some pink embroidery thread around the inside of the number 8, and then to be even more extra, I added some little gold sticker dots to the sides. And then the photos, oh my gosh. It was a journey, friends, okay, to just add the title of Matching Jammies. I wanted to emboss it. You're going to see me stamp it, and it's not going to stamp, like, it's way off kilter. I even off camera, so I turned off the camera. I took some deep breaths. I walked away. I probably did 5 shots. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do any shots. I don't really drink. But I came back, and off camera, I tried to stamp it again on like just paper, and none of the, even like the tiniest alphas I had, it just did not look good. Okay. It did not look cute. So I was like, let me find some alpha stickers, because that's just going to be better. And I wish I had just done that to begin with, because they look really good. And then I wouldn't have had to jack up the center label there, which I will end up having to cover because of the fact that I ended up not doing embossing on that part. Oh, well, you live and you learn. If you notice that I used my little cheater there, my needle threader, that thing is a godsend. And I was very fortunate. See, there it is right there in my hand, to share that information with Allie Edwards herself, because she was struggling, and I messaged her. We chat, you know, on the Instagram sometimes. And I was telling her, I was like, you know, there's a needle threader that exists. And she was like, what? So I showed her what it was. I sent her a link and she was like, oh my gosh. So I think she's mentioned it a couple times that she's like, Jen from ChappyPlans told me about this. That's the thing. That is the little tool. It's very handy and it makes it so that you don't have to try to get the thread through the needle eye without, like trying 5,000 times and then wanting to choose violence, so there's that. Here I go doing my wonky, jacked up embossing that looks absolutely horrible, and that's what I get for trying to eyeball it. Um, but that was my initial idea, was to just do all this stamped embossing. And this stamp set is wonderful. It's just that the alphas I stamped off camera, or not off camera, off center, just came out looking all kinds of whack. So they were released with Week in the Life, which shout out to that project because this was my first year participating in that as well. And it was so fun and it was so challenging. And I am really excited to see what happens next year when I participate because it's another project that I really love. Not as much as December Daily. This project has my heart for sure. And of course, Project Life. But so if you don't know, I do have weekly videos for Project Life, I think for at least the last 2 years. So that's a lot of videos. I don't math, so you can do the math. But it's a lot of videos. I also have a huge playlist of December Daily videos. So just want to point that out. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to cover this up because now I shot myself in the foot. And I decided to use one of these smaller labels that I ended up printing out when I just went digital label crazy and printed out a zillion of them for a different project, a different story. So I just grabbed this pink one and I'm going to use these tiny red glitter stickers to spell out matching jammies. The easier way to do this would have been to adhere all of the alphas on a ruler so that you know it's straight, and then like you only put the bottom part of the alpha on the ruler and then the top part you leave hanging off so that when you lay it down on the paper it's straight. I didn't do that, so I'm gonna have to fix it anyway, but it's okay. At this point I was like, listen, I spent like an hour trying to figure out how to stamp this out on this tiny space, and I'm trying to make fetch happen and it's not happening. So I was just glad to get these letters down, and there's no typo there. I spelled it right. It fits in the label size, and it's a win. And actually, it's not the worst. I do like the way that the smaller label looks nested inside of the paper. Again, adding a little bit more texture and dimension. And then the photo of the close-up of our pajamas on the bottom label, I just embellished with the red stitched bow. It was perfect for this story because of all the bows on the pajamas. And then I had this holiday tradition on the bottom, one of those little die-cut word phrase strips from the main kit, and the teeny tiny little gold sticker on the top of that to make it look like it's attached there, even though it's not, just for decor. And then the finishing touches on this story, which will bring us to the end of my video, is going to be some trim, because of course I have to have trim if I can. So I have this gold scalloped trim, which I got for last year's December Daily because scallops was a huge motif in last year's collection. You see it a little bit in this year, but not as much as last year. So, but I love scallops. Like, it's my favorite motif, I think, of all time. So I added that. I think I got it off Etsy, in case you're wondering. And I just searched up like gold scallop trim or something like that. And then I had used this, I found this rickrack that I purchased a while back. Again, R.I.P. Joanne. I think that's where it's from. And I just adhered that with some red line tape. And that is going to finish off this story. Simple and to the point, but I managed to, be extra where I could. Not as extra as I wanted, obviously, because we had the embossing fail, but it is what it is. Life goes on. I have to say I'm very proud of myself for getting 8 stories done already, and it's December 7th as of the time I'm doing this voiceover. I am trying to get as much of this done before we leave for Michigan as possible, and I also film a lot of planner content, so I'm trying to maximize my time and be as productive as possible. Having that snow day last week definitely helped. So I'm very, very excited to be able to get a bunch of this done already. If you don't know, I do complete 2 full 6x8 albums I go up to day 31 because a lot of our time is, or a lot of our time, not a lot of our time, but a lot of our memories from the season are spent with Matt's family in Michigan. So usually that's after Christmas Day. So if I go beyond 25 stories. But here is a look at everything in this particular video, stories 6, 7, and 8, obviously minus the journaling, which I do later on. I know I went kind of quickly, like I said, so make sure you let me know if you have questions. I so appreciate you watching this video, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you won't miss my content because these videos come sporadically throughout the next month or so. Take care of yourselves, friends, and remember that you are enough. Bye!